Um, exhibition fights set up a number of possibilities for, excuse me, old legends in the sport to clash with one another. And we could have so many different possibilities from so many different weight classes. Everybody, is crying out for, like, for example, Joe Kawasaki versus Carl Froch, you know, Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Trinidad 2, or Oscar De La Hoya versus Winky Wright, Corey Spinks versus Winky Wright, Corey Spinks versus Floyd Mayweather, Winky Wright versus Floyd Mayweather. You know, you could have matchups where if guys are in shape, I don't know if they're in shape, but if guys are in shape, you could have all kinds of combinational matchups, and I would love to see that. You give me some fights that you would want to see. If the fighters are alive, they have to be alive, and two, um, give me guys who possibly could be in shape, probably still around the age where they could fight, right? Um, so I'm just gonna throw out some of them, and you guys can throw out some of them that you would want to see. I'd love to see Sergio Martinez versus Oscar De La Hoya. Martinez, he's still in the pros actually. Oscar De La Hoya was talking about recently making an offer via DAZN to face Floyd Mayweather, $100 million going to Floyd so he could face Floyd. And the rumor is, it's just a rumor, that Floyd might take up the offer. That's a good fight. I mean, Oscar wants to face Tito Trinidad as well, get that get back. But there's also some other people in Oscar De La Hoya's era that Oscar never faced Winky Wright. You know what I mean? I love to see Floyd versus Paul Spadafora. Spadafora's still around. I would love to see Juan Lascanzo versus, if Juan Lascanzo's still good, um, Lascanzo versus Spadafora. You know what I mean? There's so many combinations of fights out there. Ricky Hatton's still a big name in boxing, still well loved. If he could get himself somewhat in shape. Minnie Mill, Zcanobots, Ward versus James Toney. Uh, okay, sure, why not? It's an exhibition. Yeah, Ward versus James Toney. Hopkins versus Charlie Burley. Come on, man. Charlie Burley's dead though. Burley's dead. Um, but I'd love to see. Yeah, sure. Andre Ward versus. I think James is a little too big for Andre though. James is James is a heavyweight. Andre Ward is like, if at most, a cruiserweight probably. So, but that's that. Those are good fights too. Those are good fights too. I mean, Andrew Ward versus James Toney. That's a good fight. I mean, but for me, I'm looking at just possible matchups that the guys were in the same era, but they just never faced each other, and I would have loved to see what would have happened. Yeah, it's a good fight. Mosley never faced Zab Judah. I would love, but of course it's going to be an exhibition. I don't know if Zab Judah can make it back into the ring because of the damage that he had to his head, so maybe that won't be a possible thing. But Shane Mosley never faced Corey Spinks. Shane Mosley never faced Winky. Well, he did face Winky Wright. My bad. He never. Yeah, he did face Vernon Forrest. Vernon Forrest is dead anyway. He never faced Sergio Martinez, so I'd love to see that. Paul Williams can't walk or move around anymore. Miga Cotto. I'd love to see Miga Cotto versus. I think Cotto faced Mosley, and he did face Sergio Martinez. Who has Cotto not faced? He has not faced Marquez. So Cotto versus Marquez would be interesting. Your thoughts on Ward versus Tony, Hopkins versus Burly? Who would win that tournament? Didn't you just ask me that question before? Um, Ward versus Tony. Like I said before, Ward's kind of big. Tony's kind of big for Ward, so I wouldn't really like. I'm not really, Ward has never fought at heavyweight. He The highest he's ever fought was light heavyweight. Maybe come like a cruiserweight, you know. And Tony's like a heavyweight. And Tony had to get into shape and everything. That'd be an interesting exhibition, though. I would like to see that because Tony, you know, on the inside he could do some work, and Ward's competent on the inside, but not like Tony, you know. So that would have been an interesting fight. If Ward kept it long, it would be interesting. And Ward, of course, is in impeccable shape even now. So I don't know, man. That'd be a good fight, though. That's why we want to see the exhibition, right? As to Burly versus Hopkins, I mean, Hopkins never fought as high as Burly did, first of all. And Burly was a middleweight, right? Hopkins was a middleweight. But the other thing is Burly's dead. I really like I'm talking about, as you can see, the topic is about guys who actually are alive and we could actually see them match up. I'm really interested in that more than guys who are dead and we'll never see them fight. You know, it's like that's why I'm talking about exhibitions, you know, fights you'd like to see that are exhibitions, you know. Burly's dead. I mean, he's dead, so we'll never see that fight with Hopkins. But Hopkins, as you said, Hopkins, I would like to see maybe a rematch between Hopkins and Sergio Martinez and Oscar De La Hoya. Definitely, I'd love to see that. I would pay to see that. That's a nice exhibition right there. Pay-per-view too. You know, we still got Chavez out there. So Chavez and maybe who's still alive? Chavez's era. And Chavez basically faced almost everybody, right? But Costa Zoo's there. So maybe Chavez, Costa Zoo too. You know, Costa Zoo's still around. You know, Duran's still around, but he's old. You know, Duran, Hearns, and Leonard, they're kind of old. You know, it would have been nice if they were a little bit younger. We could have them match up, but you know, they're 60-something years old. All of them in the 60s. I think Duran's in the 70s. So I wouldn't really, unless they want to do it, you know, have them match up with somebody. But other fights that you could have, more guys maybe 50 years and younger. We're talking about guys like we got Felix Trinidad still out there. We got Ike Corte, he's still out there. I mean, we're just talking welterweights, I realize, but we could go with any weight class, you know. We got Hoya Arce still out there. Chavez is still out there. Now these guys want to fight still, you know. You got Oscar, of course. He wants to fight, obviously. You got so a ton of them actually. Sergio Martinez. You got Corey Spinks. He's teaching people now. Corey Spinks. K9 Bunders is still out there. Carlos Molina. Arslan Dilar is still out there. He's still doing his thing. We got Juan Lascano. He's still out there. Ricky Hatton. We've got who else we got? We got Timothy Bradley, who's out there. We got Junior Witter. He's still out there. We've got Kendall Holt is still out there. James Kirkland. I don't know if James Kirkland wanted to still do something, but yeah, him versus Sergio Martinez would be an interesting fight. Got Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. out there. You got a bunch of people out there, you know. What else we got? We got Jose Luis Castillo still out there. Castillo might still want to put it on. Eric Morales is still out there. Marco Antonio Barrera is still out there. Prince Hassim Hamed is not in shape. I don't know if he can get back in shape. So that's not happening. But you know, we got different guys. Justin Juku, he's training and teaching people, so he's still out there. Philip Endu's still out there. We have who else we got? Got a bunch of people, man. Bunch of people just thinking, welterweight and below. Then we got above welterweight. We got Roy Jones Jr. still out there. Of course, Roy wants to face Anderson Silva, and that might be a possibility. Anderson Silva versus Roy Jones Jr. That might be a possibility. Anderson's a little smaller than Roy, but that'd be a good fight. Um, Roy always wanted to do a crossover with Anderson, so this may be his opportunity. Anderson's not boxing and everything. Um, who else we got? We got who's still on circuit? There's some guys are still fighting, man. We got oh yes, Chop Corley's still out there, and he's still in shape too. He looks pretty good. He's in great shape. Um, who else we got? We got some older guys. Of course, Pacquiao's out there, but he might be busy with politics for the next year. But he's out there. Maybe after his fight with Ugas, if he decides to take a rematch with Ugas, maybe he might join the fray. This Legends Only thing that Mike Tyson's thinking about. Then you got what's this out there? You got a bunch of legendary fighters that are out there, man. You got I said like Cortez already. Fernando Vargas is still out there. Lace it up. I know he's training his children and stuff. Get him in a reasonable shape. Hector Camacho Jr. is out there. He did something with Julio Cesar Chavez Senior. So you got see, Vladimir Klitschko is out there, right? Vladimir Klitschko is out there. Anthony Joshua's out there. He can do exhibitions. He doesn't have a problem. Tyson Fury's out there. He don't mind doing an exhibition also. Mike Tyson's talking about that. You got Chris Bird's still out there. And Chris Bird looks, Chris Bird's still in shape too. You got Ike Ibeabuchi. He's out free. So I'd like to see Ike back in the ring, maybe with Tyson or one of those guys. Ray Mercer's still out there, but he's a lot older. I think he's in his 60s now. Yeah, Riddick Bowe, they didn't want Riddick Bowe to do an exhibition. I really wish he'd get to do an exhibition. We'll find out what his health is like. You got Evander Holyfield still out there. He is close to 60 though, so we'll see how that goes with him. But he should be still in the mix. He should still be able to rumble. Who else we got? I wouldn't say George Foreman. He's 80-something years old. Leave him alone. Who else we got? We got of course we have Ricardo Mayorga. He's always down for a fight. He's out there. We got a couple people, man. We got a couple people out there that are still alive today, and they can do a little something. And just thinking about the pool of people, because I was thinking back to the times when Stevie Johnson's still out there, Steve Forbes is still out there, Joel Casamayor is still out there, right? I saw Joel up to recently. He's not in fighting shape, but he's doing things in the gym and stuff, training guys and stuff. Love to see him get a little bit up in shape and then rumble. You know what I mean? Exhibitions just about just showcasing the skills and matching up guys and seeing some matchups or fights that we probably didn't see before, And it's just kind of gives a little bit more to the what if scenario. Yeah, they're way past their primes, but their styles make fights, and so you can still see the matching up. That's what I find very cool. I always like the idea of Legends Only that Mike Tyson put forward, because it's a safe environment. You can put your rules for your exhibition, and then guys can rumble in there and showcase their skills, because that's what the exhibition is all about, showcasing your skills. And sometimes modern day fighters can fight guys, throwback fighters, and just watch it, how they perform and stuff, share the ring with them. It's kind of like sparring, you know what I mean? Unless it gets serious. But It's nice. That I think that's a nice way to give tribute to the legends. Also, to give them an opportunity to showcase their skills one more time. To help with their health too. Some of them need to move around and just have a healthier lifestyle. So instead of them just decaying and telling stories of the past, let them kind of relive their past a little bit. You know, in the ring, not in a as serious or competitive way as a pro career, but and I just think it's all around a good thing for the sport for people to see the legends, at least see them and see them in action. Maybe and then you can go back watch footage, film on them, and see what they really were doing, but to see how they apply themselves, in a ring. So I just think it's a great thing all around. I think that that idea that Mike Tyson had satisfies the nostalgic people particularly. People are very critical, and some people are just assholes. But by and large, I just think that it would be a good thing for the sport in the sense that you get to see some of the old greats who can actually they're capable of doing what they need to do in the ring. Showcase their stuff. I think it's a very positive thing for boxing. Because we talk about the Four Kings, for example. Everybody likes to talk about the Four Kings, the Four Kings, the Four Kings, which is alright. I mean, it's cool. But to see the Four Kings in action, or one of them, would be better than just talking about them. Yes, you can go watch the footage and stuff, but just to have that nostalgia of seeing them. Of course, it's up to them if they want to do it and get in there and actually do something. Even if it's a 3 rounder or a 4 rounder, get it them because it takes a certain degree of conditioning and training to be able to go 3 or 4 rounds. All right, and they don't necessarily have to throw hard punches like that, but it's up to them what they agree to. But at the end of the day, just to see them with their competitive juices and stuff going on in that ring, it's a fantastic thing. And like I said before, depending on the age of the person and their health, you can regulate the exhibition to suit. Maybe it's just 1 round, 2 rounds. Maybe it's just a round. They go. Whatever it is, you regulate it. Because Muhammad Ali, he lived a little longer, I think, because he was able to get in the ring. And even though he wasn't really throwing any serious punches against guys, he do little exhibitions and stuff. Exhibition, remember, it can vary. It can be as much as a serious thing, almost like a pro fight, to you can dial it back to whatever you want it to be. It's all about showcasing, featuring certain legends or fighters' skills. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So, and that's why I like the idea of exhibitions for the old legends, so we could see them in their element. Again, the rules can vary how much you want it to be, so that it's comfortable for them, so that they can at least sort of relive some of the things as well. It's for them, and it's for us as well as fans to see. And it's just about the nostalgia. For those people who are nostalgic about fighters, it's just for the nostalgia's sake. Why not? And then you can have some which are more competitive, just to see how styles match up, and that's cool too. And you can have straight out ones that they're not pro fights, but people get knocked out. So it depends on what you want to do with the exhibition. But at the end of the day, to see these guys, if they want to be in the ring, they want to, throw hands, let them do it. I'm all for that. I just think is you need to have necessary precautions in place. You need to consider their age and all of those things, all those factors, so that it can be treated well and they can have a pleasant experience. And we as fans can have a pleasant experience at the same time. They don't have to be bareback. You can wear protective gear, and you can have on a t-shirt, to fight with. You don't have to be. So this is the thing. The people don't understand. Exhibitions are just a feature of the boxer. It could just be a straight up sparring session. It doesn't have to be. It can vary, and that's why we can get our legends in their element. So even if you see this footage of a legend, I've seen old guys hitting punching guys, 80 something years old, 90 something years old. Now punching on the punching bag, and they're in shape. You know why? They're in shape because they still in their element. You know what I mean? They're still in what they were born to do. So once you're living what you're born to do, it extends your life. Clearly. I'm all for that. I'm all for that anyway. That's just my point of view of things. Other people, they're very restrictive and trying to be protective of fighters when it's killing them. You're killing them, and you don't even realize that. That is what it is. Um, yeah, but exhibitions, man. I didn't really organize this. I just shooting off the hip. Um, I would love to see those things. What Mike Tyson's idea of Legends Only is a great idea. People are always worried about, well, somebody gets hurt. If you put the necessary precautions and the necessary stuff in place, nobody's going to get hurt. Okay? Boxing is a sport that you can control it, you can regulate it to a certain degree. I always tell people this: if you're going into pro boxing, amateur or pro, make sure you got your defense in order. Because if you are a good defensive fighter, you will receive less and less punishment, and that's very important because especially in the very important vital areas of your body, and therefore you won't end up with liver cancer, you won't end up with pancreatic cancer, you won't end up with detrimental CTE or other nervous break damage. You won't have as much neuronal damage. You'll sustain less damage, and you'll be able to repair those things, all right, and extend your life. So I always say to people, going into battle, going into war, that you need to have defense. I can't emphasize that enough. And always, off your defense, you will have your offense coming, or your offense will be integrated with your defense at the same time. Okay. Anyways, people, that's all I got for now. It's a little lackluster. I mean it to come off this way, but it was an idea that popped in my head. I said, let me just shoot it. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.